Hey, my name's James Nicholson. House prices are going to go up by 20% in the next year and a half, according to this one guy. And he's been correct in calling the last two property crashes. Why is this interesting? This is something that we should be looking at because we want to look at all the possible data, all the analysts that are out there, and I want to share with you exactly what this theory is based off. Could it be true? Because let's face it, we've been expecting a property crash for a while, but it hasn't quite happened. So maybe this makes sense. And logically, when you listen to what I'm going to speak to you guys about in this video, I think you might change your opinion if you're thinking the market might crash in the next year or two. Now, this video is really important that we get this out to more viewers. So two things I want you to do while you're here. Subscribe over there and hit the bell notification. We want to hit 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year. And while you're here, smash that like button, tickle the like button, do something to the like button. Don't get annoyed about being asked to press the like button. What it does is it pushes the video out to more people. So if you could do that right now, I would really appreciate it. Thank you. So, who are we listening to today? It's a guy called Fred Harrison, and he's been an economist for a long time. I know some of you guys know this guy because he has something called the 18-year property theory. And I've seen comments where you've talked about it, and I've read about this guy before. And why people listen to him is that he has accurately, very closely picked the last two property crashes. And not many people have got that right. This is pretty much the only guy that got that right. Now, he has a theory called the 18-year cycle. And that is that it takes 18 years from boom to bust. And so we're not quite there yet on that. That's why he's saying this would likely happen in 2026. And he's saying it would happen in late 2026 is when he feels this might happen. Now, what's his reasoning for that? Well, the elections is one of the key things that he feels is going to keep house prices rising at the moment. You've got two of the biggest elections ever, particularly in America. Very divided at the moment. You've got Trump-Biden round two coming up this year. You've also got the Conservatives likely to lose their spot this year as well. And so what you'll see is the Democrats, Biden's party, and the Conservatives, they won't want house prices to crash prior to an election. It's not going to help either side to get re-elected if that happens. And so they're expected to put pressure on the Federal Reserve in America, the Bank of England. Although they're meant to be neutral parties, they definitely can get influenced for sure by the government. And they will have pressure on them to reduce rates in time in order for the market to not crash. Now, what Fred's also saying is Labour, if they get in, they're going to push for more home building. And what his theory on that is that initially that will be a positive thing because it will show to people that the housing market is resilient, it's strong, and it's a good thing to invest in. And so that will get people into the market initially. He also feels that interest rates, regardless of elections, on both sides of the pond are going to start dropping, which I think we all agree on. We might disagree on how much and how quickly. It's all dependent on inflation, really, isn't it? But we do agree that interest rates are likely to go down. And so we'll see that downward momentum throughout this year, which will, again, hopefully gets passed on to us in mortgage rate reductions, because the interest rate from the Bank of England isn't the rate that we borrow at. We need the mortgage lenders to reduce their rates as well. He feels that that will happen. That will get some more activity in the market. Plus, we've got incentives, which I've just made a video on, actually. I'm not sure if it's going to be before this or after this, but do check it out. There's new schemes out there. For example, Virgin Money have got a mortgage rate that you can borrow at 2.4%, which is really good. And that's for new build, brand new first-time buyers. That is going to be a great incentive to kick start that first-time buyer market again. And so these things could keep the market propped up and moving up by 20%. What else is he saying? Another thing that he's saying is, and I've talked about this probably about 9 months ago, is 40-year mortgages. These are starting to become more popular. Excuse me, my little baby Amelie's had a cough for the last week, and I'm just about getting through it without it, but almost tickly throat. So 40-year mortgages are expected to become more common. Lenders are doing these. There are certain lenders that are already doing 40-year mortgages. What that will do is improve affordability. It means you're going to pay back significantly more, but let's just say you need to borrow 200 grand. If you borrow 200 grand over 25 years, it's going to be a certain amount. If you borrow over 40 years, the monthly payment will be less. People are more focused and fixated on what's the monthly payment rather than what do I actually end up paying back. That doesn't worry people so much. It's the monthly payment that they really get stressed out and worried about. So that is probably going to push the market a little bit longer down the line. Now, one thing that he's saying that could stop all of this is war. We've got a volatile situation at the moment. And that's important that we don't get wars. We've got potentially Russia that needs to be dealt with, or hopefully they de-escalate and that comes to some conclusion. But we've got the Israel conflict. We've got Iran bubbling over. We've also got tensions with China as well. If any of these things kick off, that could potentially throw all of this out the window and we could potentially see some big crashes. So what Fred's saying is that he expects that we'll have a 20% increase until the back end of 2026. Then we'll have a house pricing crash that will be quite a severe one, but it will be 20%. He feels that the prices that we've got today, they'll go up by 20% and they'll drop by 20%. So if you're in this market right now, you'll hopefully break even on that. But if you buy next year and the prices have gone up 20%, you've just got to make sure that you can add some value to that, that you're not really debted up to the eyeballs on that property as well, because potentially you could see that equity getting wiped out quite quickly in 27 and 28. And he feels that the downturn will last around 4 years. So 2 years of decline, 2 years of flat before we start seeing the market go up again. Now, I'm not sure. Let me know what you think on this one. This guy has been right twice. The market isn't indicating that it's crashing suddenly at the moment. I know we've got channels like Moving Home with Charlie that will say, look, the market's absolutely horrendous at the moment and it is quieter, but what you haven't seen yet is an influx of sellers. When you see the influx of sellers, that's when you've got to watch things, because that's when the market could move very, very quickly. Let me know your thoughts on the 18-year property cycle. Do you think this is fairly accurate? It does seem like this year could be fairly flat. Could it increase by 5-10% like he's saying and then pick up again next year? What I do think is if interest rates do start to come down, I do think you'll get a spike in activity and people will be able to afford more. So I think that is going to contribute to that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments anyway. Do go and check out some other content on my channel, including this video right here.